This is DJ Struth Mate from weststarradio.com and isxradio.com, and you are listening to The Subject Press.
Hi everybody, I am Dilly with The Subject Press, and today I am connected via Skype and getting to speak with awesome Australian on-air personality, Mr. DJ Struth Mate of West Star Radio and ISX Radio. How you doing today, mate?
Hello, Dilly. DJ Struth Mate here. Yes, correct. I'm from Australia. We're talking via Skype. I'm having a lovely day. I'm so happy to be talking to you today. Awesome.
Awesome. And did I say that right? Did I get your handle right?
I'll certainly did. Yes. Some people call me DJ Struth Mate or DJ Struth or whatever, but yeah.
And I've even heard from you, horny DJ Struth Mate, because you got your little deviled horns going there with your whole get-up and your whole character motif and everything too, so I wanted to make sure I got it right. I know I'm not an Australian, but I didn't want to let down the locals at the same time.
Yes, that horny guy from Australia you can also known by, but it's all good.
Now, well, yeah, and so people know now, realize that he is in Australia, and I am not. I am in the United States, and for me right now, it is like early evening on Thursday, but for you, it is Friday morning. Is that correct?
Certainly is. It's just nearing on about lunchtime over here. I'm down at a lovely area called Cabarita. I'm next to the beach. There's a surfing competition on. I'm actually out for a day, doing some shenanigans and, trying to find some local musos around the area, hopefully.
What a fun way, though, to spend the morning to be out there watching the surfing competition and stuff, too. So.
It is wonderful. I can't say how much I am so very, very happy to live in this lucky country of mine, Australia. We do have a lot of fine weather, and a lot of people come over from the overseas and are always amazed at how beautiful it is over here. So I'm, always very, very
well, I know you've got a much better scenery than I do right now. I can just picture that. I would love to be at the beach at this moment. I'm locked in a quiet room so I can have some time to talk with you.
Well, it's the power of connectivity these days. People can, be down at the park or, don't have to be in a building in a radio studio per se to be able to do these sorts of things. So it is wonderful. No, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And as soon as we're done with here, I'm going to be taking off and going to do other things too. Now, what I want to talk about, you have two different radio shows. And so you kind of juggle two different things. So let's start off by, how about you telling us about your weekly show that you have for, let's say, West Star Radio. That's the one that's on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. where you play like classic and like the newer of just Australian tracks. Is that correct?
Yes, well, the weekly radio show was stemmed out of my connections with West Star. Once upon a time, I was an artist myself, a musician, and I was interviewed by a DJ on West Star Radio, and the interview didn't go too well. It was a little bit robotic, and I wasn't used to it back in the day, but I had a little bit of a whinge to the station manager after it aired, because it didn't air to a very broad audience or anything, considering that it goes out to the world. So he threw it onto me and said, well, why don't you have a go? And 5 years later, DJ Struth Mate's still going strong, but I had full reign over musicians that I'd discovered over my years of being a musician myself. So I reached out to a ton of artists and said, look, I've got this radio show now, could I feature your music? And one of the stipulations on my show just most definitely is that I never featured anything of mine. I pretty much will canned my little stint as a muso, because I found the discovery of new musicians and their music and creatives in their sense was so much more exhilarating than me sitting down every night and trying to write a new tune or trying to promote it myself and get it all out there. I was a one-man band, and it was just getting too hard, because when you do that position, you don't have a manager. You're everyone. You're every person that has to do everything. You're the musician. You're the singer-songwriter. You're the promoter.
Yeah, exactly. You're your own Girl Friday type of person, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so so it branched out from just including a whole bunch of Australian independent music and people I connected with over here. Then I started reaching out overseas, and it's pretty much just spawned off into a whole new direction. I mean, in the past, I'd be reaching out to so many artists, and I found it, very difficult to sort of, put myself on the line and on the chopping block saying, can I feature your music or can I this? But I found that most of them were more than happy to, of course, because they're, it's free promotion. I've never charged anyone. No one's ever paid $1 or a dime to me for any of my promotion for my show.
Nice.
But then, then it was just, then it became its own thing. Now I'm inundated with people throwing, can I be featured on your show? So that's been wonderful for me. It just means that I've got I mean, it might not be wonderful for the artists when they first connect with me, because I might not be able to get them on, that particular week, but they definitely lined up. Everyone is lined up. I've got a nice little itinerary that comes up, and I follow up on everyone too, and I do social media promotion for them on all their platforms that they're featured on. This day and age, most everyone's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Musicians have their SoundClouds and Reverb Nations and all this sort of stuff, so I always include the links. So you'll hear the person's music on my radio show, but you'll only ever hear a couple of tracks just to sort of tease and everything. So the listeners actually head over to the platform that the artist actually uses the most and most predominantly on. So yeah, it's wonderful. It really is. West Star Radio has been a blessing in disguise. I think I spent about 6 months there, and they made me an admin. So I've had a very major say in what happens to the website for West Star Radio. And
well, I mean, it shows that you got a lot of trust there, and you got a lot of people following you already. So you have a knack for it, that's for sure.
Oh well, look, it's just I think that little Aussie factor for the West Star is actually based in the UK, the server, but that's not to say it's only a UK station. Of course, as we mentioned, it broadcasts around the world. But DJ Struth, who I'll give a big shout out to, he is a station manager. He created West Star back in the day, and when he asked about me wanting to come on board for an admin, I thought he was very, very happy to have his Aussie contact to be able to help out. So we had that one little branch from the UK to Australia, and then we brought on Brain Voyager, who's based in the Netherlands. He's an electronic musician himself, but he's also got a weekly show on West Star called Electronic Fusion, where he features electronic music from around the world.
Oh, cool.
And he's so we call it like a little trifecta. He's in the UK, we got a guy in the Netherlands, and I'm in Australia. I'm the furthest away, and probably the most difference on time difference, but we all still connect, and we sort of have a chat every so often and just make sure everyone's happy.
Nice, yeah, but you got a good little system there going there, and you got a good amount there. That's awesome, because then you get a good variety of artists being featured, so you're always going to have that turnaround of people wanting to come and get their music promoted with you.
Oh, for sure. Look, I know that I mentioned Brain Voyager has an electronic show, and obviously you're not going to have like a rockabilly band on that sort of show. But with my show, it's I've always said it's a mixed bag of lollies. If there's something I like the sound of, you'll be able to get featured on my show. My show is just, you can go from classic rock to indie music to funk to soul to electronic. I just feature whatever tickles my fancy, basically. And some people have mentioned in the past that I just can't believe you fit so many genres into one show. But that's how I roll, and it seems to work because it brings in actually more listeners. Some people would have said in the past,
right?
I only want to tune in and listen to this sort of type of music. But no, you get everything on my show.
No, that's great. I like that. I would rather tune into a show that's going to have a good variety than just stick to one, because I'm like you. I'm that person that I like whatever, like you said, tickles your fancy, something that strikes you, something that moves you, whatever it is. It doesn't matter, what genre it is, and I think that's fantastic that your show is like that. That's very cool.
I just find that, some people who might not be into a certain genre might get to hear something that's, a little bit different. They might go, geez, I never thought I would have indulged in that sort of sound before, but they found an artist via my show that they're now a fan of, and they've branched their listening ears out to something different. So yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it takes people to want to be able to do that as well, to be able to promote all the music together like that in just one show, also to help somebody out just to be able to hear all the different things that are out there. That's one of the best things about it. You go to hear one band, you end up hearing an opening band. It's kind of the same concept. You didn't go for that particular band, but yet you hear something different. You might end up, just loving that music. Doesn't matter what it is, so that's cool that your show is kind of based that.
Themselves actually are very, very happy with that sort of, when I mix in a whole bunch of artists into one show, they're all supportive of each other because they all got to be featured on the same show. So they're following each other on their social media platforms and saying, oh well, if you don't like our music and you like this type of music, well, you have to head over and listen to this artist. So yeah,
exactly, because then you get the camaraderie between the different artists as well, and the fact that you're going to have a good little mix of fans coming to hear the different types of music. You're going to get somebody else that new to your music as well, that like you said, hey, I never heard of that before, I never thought of that before, and just simply because it was thrown in there after a country or after a rock or something like that, and they didn't expect it, but you're going to listen to it, and see what it is. So that's good. Do you also do interviews with these artists as well on the West Star Radio Show, or is it just straight playing tracks and stuff?
Oh no, I branched out and started doing interviews myself because I thought that was basically when I first started getting into radio, I listened to a whole bunch of radio shows in Australia that I found exciting. And I mean, talking to artists is definitely, being a musician in the past, it's been a wonderful thing because I've actually been very curious to find out the behind the scenes things of how record production gets happening, writing skills, singer-songwriting, how it comes about for them, whether it's an organic process or whether it's more machine-like. It really is. Yeah, when I talk to people, I go in depth, but I also try and make the interview a little bit fun. I try and get a bit of a laugh out of them as well. I've got some standardized questions that sort of roll off the tongue a little bit for me now. That might be a little bit.
Are your little shenanigans? I saw how it said your radio show features music and shenanigans. DJ Struth Shenanigans.
And shenanigans. Yes.
Yeah, I was watching through some of your shenanigans.
I always like to throw something a little bit left centre to someone who might be, it just brings up a little bit of variety. And I like to, not that I like to put people on the spot ever. It's just you just get some interesting answers from a different psyche, and it takes them away from the music side things sometimes as well. So in an interview, obviously with a musician, you heavily want to promote their music. I mean, that's just,
of course, but sometimes throwing something else in there, just something different, can be, what, the reason I wrote this song was, and at the same time, it shows that you also, you can be more relaxed, but you've studied, who you're talking to, and you have that respect for what they do to put in enough time and effort into, what you're going to talk to them about, and they get comfortable with you. And sometimes you get a story that even if it, I wrote this story because of this. I've never told anybody this, but... and it's like, and that's great because then you still get some type of background behind the scenes stuff for fans that normally don't get that. And I like that type of stuff. That, like, no matter how many artists I talk to and no matter how many different people or even other promoters I talk to, I still get excited. Like, I'm excited to speak with you. This whole time we were trying to set up the Skype and, get it going. I was really excited because I know you get to speak with so many different artists as well, but you get that platform where you have to put yourself out there to be able to promote them. As much as they're trying to promote themselves, you're doing all of that as well, and it's nice to just be able to hear somebody else's perspective of this end of the industry, and how your process is as well, so I was like, I'm so excited to speak with you too.
It's always good finding like some little tiny bit of tidbit of information that they might have not thought I would have been able to discover as well. Not that I reach out and ask their family and friends about something about their past, but you might just Google something about them and you find out, oh, geez, that's a nice little angle. I might take it that way and take it in that direction for a little bit. And look, I always end up having a giggle. That's the best thing, If I get a laugh out of someone,
you surprise people that way.
Signs. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I can't even believe you said that. Or where did you find that? I've had that reaction. It's like, I do my research. I know. Just like for you. Now we have Halloween coming up. Are you going to be doing a little 'Twas the Night Before Halloween reading again?
Oh gosh, you've been doing the same thing to me, haven't you?
I sure have.
I did a whole bunch of experimentation back in the day to try and help, semi sort of side promote whatever I was doing. And yes, I've definitely discovered that doing specials on the show, e.g. Halloween, Christmas, metal specials, like having a whole genre based on one episode, or it definitely helps. But with that the night before,
it was Halloween, great. I loved it. Just so our fans, just so the people who are listening right now know what I'm talking about, I came across one of his videos that he did a reading at Halloween, and it was 'Twas the Night Before Halloween, and it was, you just had this whole crazy visual video to go with it, and I was watching it going, oh my gosh, it's really close to Halloween. I wonder if you're going to do something like that. And I thought that was cool because that was something a little different. I like different, and when you come across something like that, it sticks out, So I was like, I got to mention it.
It was experimentations in sound too. I was definitely trying to up my skills with the radio show. Obviously, there's a standardized radio show where people talk, then there's music, then you talk, and then there's music. With my show, if the listeners get out there and have a bit of a listen, you'll notice there's a few sound effects thrown in here and there just for the benefit of making the flow of the show go on, even when I'm talking to people and recording my interviews.
Yes, some of those visual effects as you're speaking and making those little visual effects that just pop out of nowhere. I was
think
like,
animal sounds
that's
are definitely
great.
One of those little things that pop up into my show, but that's just it just brings out a little bit more character. But on the going with the Halloween special, I mean, branching out from just speaking to musicians, I speak to people who are just basically generally creative, and I've spoken to app developers, I've spoken to models, filmmakers, composers behind the scenes of movies, and I connected with a lovely lady called Emma Dark from the UK, who is a short filmmaker, and she's an actor and a model of herself and everything, and at the time she was releasing a short film called Seize the Night, and look, it's got a very, very vampire sort of feel to it and everything. And it was, I brought her back after my first interview, I think a year later, and said, would you like to co-host a show with me, and we'll do a Halloween special.
Oh, okay. So that's the person who was on there with you, kind of talking and stuff.
Yeah, so that's the other thing too. I've reached a point in my my radio career where, shall I say, is that I like to bring back artists who I'm actually speaking to, and so it's like a big catch-up process sort of thing. So
yeah.
I've been up to and
follow-ups are cool.
Yeah,
follow-ups are definitely cool. People will come back for that, they'll definitely come back. Oh, I love this band, I saw this, or they did this, was so cool. Like, I'm waiting for your the next Halloween special. I saw that and I was like, that's just really cool. I'm like, I know people who would love this.
It is, Halloween's only just around the corner, so something will be up my sleeve, I'm sure. I'll just have to I'll get into the planning stage for that. So, don't worry, that'll be coming, everybody. Halloween special on the DJ Struth Mate show.
That's right. And then, okay, now let's go into the difference between the radio stations. Now, that was for West Star Radio, what we talked about a little earlier. Now, what about the ISX radio station? Now, you have a little bit of a different show on there. You have a Saturday 8 p.m. show that you do for them. And is this all indies only, all indie artists only? So what's the difference for this one?
Okay, well, I got reached to by ISX Radio once upon a time, and they're based out of Canada, and they said they'd love to have another DJ on board, and got a big shout out to the station manager over there, Mr. Bob Black, one of the most strongest names in radio, I'd have to say, and he, just like me, is a musician too. He's an awesome guitarist, and he said, would you like to do a radio show for us? Just need an hour worth of content every week. And I suppose when I first started, I was not sort of, I will say, no, I definitely was recycling some of the artists I had from the West Star radio show, but then it progressed and then it became like pretty much an all Aussie indie hour. So any indie content I could find from Australia, that was predominantly put on the show. I mean, I have connected with Factory Fast Records in New York, and they release a CD every week of artists that they've discovered from around the world, and I have heavily featured some of the artists on that show, that CD that they send to me once a week.
Oh, very cool.
Then I had a little bit of a chat with Bob Black, and he said, look, you're the Aussie guy, why don't you promote all the Aussie music that's coming out of your country? You may as well, because not to say that the rest of the DJs are only playing stuff from their own country, but he just liked that angle, obviously. The Australian accent seems to be pretty popular overseas.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say, when we had our pre-talk with my partner, Sasha George, my producer partner was with me when we first spoke, and it was so funny. Every now and then it was, wait, can you say our name again? Oh, it was so funny. It was like, no, but you're right, that there is a big attraction, overseas for that, because we don't hear that accent on a regular daily basis. So it is a big deal to hear that, and it's for us, it's that extra cool little kick, so.
Yes, no, for sure. I don't play up on the accent. This is literally my accent. I mean, I could go crikey, and I could say all those Aussie words like blimey and, all that sort of stuff. I could go on forever, but I sometimes play it up a little bit, maybe, for that radio show. I mean, even in that radio show, I include a few sound effects as well. There's a regular koala on that show who gets out of his cage that's in the studio, and he pops into the show and sort of interrupts me every so often, and I have to put him back in the cage quickly before I can continue. But that's once again just playing up on the whole factor of it. But yeah, radio.com, you can head there, and there's a whole selection of DJs on that show that feature artists from, like I said, from around the world, and it's very, very easy to submit to that show. You go to the top of the page on isxradio.com and just hit the submit button, then you've got a choice of all the DJs to choose from, or you can blast it out to everybody and send on through your details and your MP3s and such as an artist. And one of us will definitely get on board with that, but it just takes probably about a week in between, just talking in between us. But I mean, if you're an artist and you got blasted out and you got featured on every single DJ radio show on ISX, you'd be pretty stoked. I don't think it'd be any
yeah, are you kidding? That would be fantastic. You know, I think that, and I did check that out. I did see where you can expand to the different DJs, because I kind of did look around through some of the other ones as well, you know, because I wasn't sure if yours, since yours featured for this particular one said, you know, all indie music, I wasn't sure if like the rest of them were just, each one had their own little genre or not. So I was just kind of expanding out, doing the same thing, and I thought it was cool the way they had it that way, that you can easily go through and look. You know, but I really like that. I thought that was awesome. And then, of course, you have your own little unique kind of character type of style. You got a certain look. You got a little certain brand that you got going for yourself. Yeah. How did that come about? That little character guy that you got. How did that happen?
My little horned and glass-wearing characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look. I started off. I'll tell you the origin of DJ Struth Mate, shall I?
Yes.
I got told when I joined West Star that everyone's got a DJ name, and I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to use my musician name. That's well and gone. That's in the past. I'll leave that to everyone else up to discover if they want to search and trawl the internet for that. But I'm not going to give that away on the air right now. But I was sitting down at my keyboard and I was typing in all these variations of names and stuff that I thought might be something that sort of described me. And there's a term over here in Australia where you go Struth. And Struth just basically means, putting your hands up like, oh, God, I just don't know what's going on here. And I literally did that at the computer desk. I went, Struth Mate, I can't think of a name. And I typed in DJ Struth Mate, and that handle wasn't taken. So it's also a bit of an amalgamation of it's the truth, mate. What you get from me is the truth. You'll get shenanigans, but everything I'm saying, if I enjoy an artist, I'm not paid to say I like that artist. I'm not getting paid for promo or nothing like that. It's the truth, mate, and that's where Struth Mate came into it.
Straight honesty,
then,
nice.
When I was broadcasting live back in the day for West Star, I was doing it at middle of the year here in Australia, about May, June, July sort of time of the year, and it was very, very cold, and I was broadcasting that very late at night when it was very cold, so I'd have my fingertipless gloves on and at the computer desk tapping away, and very, very cold fingers and all that sort of stuff, and I went to a shop one day and I bought this lovely little spirit hoodie, which they call, which is just like, a little hoodie that you wear, and that was keeping me warm at night instead of a beanie. And this particular one had a set of horns on top of it and a little pair of ears. And
it's woolly on top of that, yes, so it's got an animal head look to it. It's not just a hoodie.
It's faux fur, but it definitely has a little bit of a cheetah thing going on. Anyway, one night I decided to create an Instagram account, and of course Instagram's solely based on images and photos and videos.
Yeah.
So I just took a photo of myself one night at the desk saying, look, I'm here, I'm broadcasting live right now if you want to come join me. And someone sort of said, what are you wearing? Are you wearing a dead animal on your head? And I was sort of like, no, I had to explain what a spirit hoodie was. And then, it sort of branched out from there. So now this guy behind the microphone now had a visual that someone could actually look at as well. So I played up on that a little bit. I went to my good friend in Australia who was my graphic designer back when I was a musician, Darren Harper. He designs T-shirts. He's an artist in multimedia formats and all that sort of stuff. And I said, mate, I reckon you could create a nice image for me. And he came up with this little amalgamation. And if you see the image of DJ Struth Mate, little horn guy with a big smile and wearing the sunglasses,
yes,
sort of like a mixture of, I think if you went halfway between the Jamiroquai image and the Madman film logo image.
Yeah, I'm looking at the image right now as we speak.
So that's how that came about. And then, you know what, I just said, if I'm going to be putting up my logo anywhere, that's going to be my profile picture. I'm going to be putting that on business cards, on letterheads, anything to do with DJ Struth Mates now. And then, like you mentioned before, with Halloween specials and and Christmas specials, Easter specials, that little logo can be manipulated to have some bunny ears or
that'd be hilarious. At Christmas time, I could just see a candy cane sticking out of this little devil face, horned the little character that I'm looking at right now. Oh, that would be hilarious.
So I have several sets of hats and stuff at home that have to have two little horn holes cut out because if I'm putting them over the top of the hoodie as well.
You got to make sure to have that. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Very, very
I love it because you got your own unique calling card.
It's basically and it's a big smiley cheek grin, and I think that's what's
exactly. It's not freaky looking. It's funny, cool looking. Exactly. At least that's what I think. So I think it looks great. Yeah, no, I thought that was fantastic because I'm like, everybody should have their own little type of calling card, and I loved yours because you have just a unique one that just goes right to you. And as soon as I started watching all your videos, I was like, oh, yep, now I know why. Okay, I see.
Makes sense.
Oh man, that's great. Now tell me, is this how you actually came across Jerry Hall by chance? Because we happened to meet because actually not that long ago I did have an interview with indie artist Jerry Hall, who's absolutely fantastic and does so much stuff. He's just amazing. And it was actually Jerry Hall who kind of connected us and said, you know what, I think you guys would really get along and do, be great to sit there and talk to each other because you both kind of do, similar stuff, So is that how you came across Jerry? Like, was he one of the indie artists that you featured on your show?
He definitely was. Look, big shout out to my brother from another mother, Mr. Jerry Hull, musician extraordinaire, indie music composer with the mostest. I'll tell you what, he's been the biggest blessing to my show. I tell you what, I will say that definitely he's been featured on the show probably the most than any other artist has ever been on the show, I'd say. Just being, when I first connected with him, I definitely featured his music and his tracks, knew that this guy was the real deal. He was very happy to promote the show as well, which you sometimes find with a few artists aren't, right on top of, they might find out a few weeks later saying, did you feature my music? Did you end up putting my music on the show? And you'd be like, yeah, didn't you know about it? I promoted you. But that's the opposite end with Jerry. He was on top of every single promotion on every platform that I ever put it out on, Twitter,
right,
Facebook, Instagram. And, and then every time that he had a new single coming out, he would always contact me, or, if he had his new album coming out or was releasing something on a certain date, he'd always message me and let me know that it was coming out at this date and if, I wanted to feature him on the show. And every single time I was like, oh, of course, mate, I'd love to have you back on the show. That led to me interviewing him, of course. So we had a great interview. We had, I'll tell you what, that first interview with Jerry Hull was a cracker. It was like one of the most, belly laughing inducing,
Oh, he's great to talk to. Yeah, I love talking to him too. He was fantastic, So
I found a kindred spirit in the fact that someone liked to talk as much as me with Jerry, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
And the really cool thing is that he does just as much promoting, and it's not just his music that he's promoting. He comes to you and you're promoting his music, and the next thing you know, he's promoting your show almost as much as, or if not more, than you're promoting his music. Exactly. It's like, wow, he's just, because he's really good at that. He's got that charismatic type of personality. So
I saw one of his promo graphics after he was being featured on my show, and I was like, hang on, that's my Struth Mate logo, and it's on his poster.
Right? He did the same thing with ours.
That was definitely awesome. That was very cool to see someone else had taken on board, not just the music side, and just go, oh, well, this guy's promoting me. Okay, sweet, I can just sit back and relax now. He went above and beyond every time. And he's come back and done co-hosting duties for the show. Me and him co-hosted the whole show, and we bounced back between artists that we both enjoy listening to. And then that led to, which I've done in the last year now, I've had full takeover shows on my show. So you might not even get me on my show. You'll have one of my previously featured artists, not my previously featured artist,
but for somebody that you've already, that you've done.
I let them have the full reins of my hour-long show, and they can do whatever they want. They can promote their own music. They can promote music they're inspired by, stuff they're listening to currently.
So are you saying I could fly out to Australia and have my own show there for a little bit?
Definitely, we have to have the Billy subject press special. Look, when you add special to anything on a title or something,
that would be great, right?
Yeah, he took it on board wholeheartedly, and he just sent me this file one day, and when he had everything together, and I listened through it once, and I was just blown away. I was like, what a great job. He even included, he had a bit of a flavour of having his own sound effects in the car. It wasn't just the Jerry Hull takeover, it was Jerry Hull and Callie the cat.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yes. So, he's wonderful. He is a great connection. I've got to give a big, huge shout out once again to Jerry Hull. He's connected me with yourself and Sasha and Subject Press, and it's led to this interview. I keep on thinking in my head it's a reverse interview, but it's not. You're interviewing me. I just have to accept that.
I know. We were getting that confused. Like, no, today I'm supposed to be interviewing you, not the other way around. And I know later you have something set up for, like, the books and stuff for Sasha's book separate, I'm like, so it's a little confusing sometimes. But no, I did want to give just that shout out also to Jerry. Mr. Hall was just amazing to us as well, just full-heartedly going out, like you said, above and beyond, not just that promotion, but just above and beyond in friendship and just camaraderie and everything else. And I just want to make sure you got that mentioned, because again, the way we connected was through him, and I thought that was just fantastic of him to go out of his way on top of that to make sure, you know what, you guys do the same things. You should connect. You should talk to each other. You know, and I was like...
He's listening right now, I'm sure. So
right? Hi, Jerry.
You're right, buddy.
There you go. Now let's get back to a little bit about, now you do both the radio shows and stuff, and one of them replays on a different day. Which one is the one that replays a different day?
Well, West Star Radio, the show gets blasted out and played 5 times over the course of a week at different times of the day, just to make sure that the world audience gets listening to it. I'm right off the top of my head, I haven't got all the times and everything set down, but they're definitely spaced out over the course of a 24-hour period, over the course of a Tuesday to a Sunday. So the one day you won't hear the DJ Struth Mate show is every Monday, but I upload that same West Star Radio show to mixcloud.com, which is a platform that I think a few people have a lot of people do know about it, but I think it was predominantly just for people putting remixes, like, hour-long remixes of songs and stuff like that back in the day. But then I realised that this was a platform that I could upload my show. It's once again, it's not monetized or anything like that, so it's not like YouTube or anything like that. And the artists who are actually registered and have their stuff on, copyrighted and all that sort of stuff, they actually get a little bit of a payout from that show, because everything that's been registered, it pops up on the screen, and they get a little bit of they get a little bit of coin at the end of the day, basically, because their song's being featured and being played and being listened to.
Nice.
So
very nice.
I'll upload a show on there, and it might have a track. Let's just say I used to upload I used to do another third radio show back in the day, which I won't go into details with, but it basically was a cool classic rock show. So I'd play a lot of Led Zeppelin, a lot of Creedence and all that sort of stuff. And you upload the show, and then bang, a little timestamp comes up down the bottom after a 24-hour period, and it tells you, like, this was featured, it's featured this artist and this artist and this artist, so that comes up automatically rather than me having to do a playlist down the bottom for everyone to listen to.
Yeah.
I don't like filling in a playlist down the bottom and telling people when some tracks are coming up or anything like that, because usually people might just skip to what they want to listen to, where I'd rather listen to them.
Yeah, exactly. But this way they can just go in and they can just find where they want to go check it out and go see. That's a great idea on that. We have a little something on that where we're just putting artists up, like if they have upcoming events, we have a calendar on our site where some of the artists that we've already talked to and done interviews with and stuff, if they have an upcoming event, they can put it in to us, and we'll put it on the calendar, because we'll have people like checking back sometimes, because we'll do follow-ups and stuff, but they'll see that we'll help promote it that way too, but then people can just go, they don't have to look through everything to find one particular show or something like that, so that's really cool, and it gives more people more of an option, so then you have more people come in and check it out because they have more options, so I think that's really cool, I like that.
And I started that only I think it was January 2016 when I first started uploading to Mixcloud, and that's I'd done tons and tons of live shows and tons of recorded shows until I started thinking, look, this is an on-demand thing. People don't have to actually tune into the radio station at a certain time of the day now. They can actually go to a website. They can log into, if they want to join, they can join, and they can follow me on there, and then they'll get a little ding on their phone or on their computer, to sort of say, oh, Struthy's uploaded a new show. Yeah,
or sometimes I've seen your live stream. I've seen you do live streams as well, right?
I haven't done so many live streams of late. I've had a bit of a, just a bit of a change just in my factor and just not so much my lifestyle, but just timing factor. But definitely put a lot more effort into these pre-recorded shows, because that's where I get the multitude of sound effects and gives me a bit of time.
That's where you can put your shenanigans in.
Exactly. And it gives me time to make sure I've double-checked all the artists' links and everything that they've sent me. If they haven't sent me anything, I have to do a little bit of discovery and stuff like that, but I always try and get it right. In the past, I've actually pronounced a few band names wrong because I haven't been able to chat to them in advance before I've promoted the show, but I always fix that the following week and make a bit of a joke about it, saying, oh yeah, there was this German band, they weren't happy with the way I pronounced their name last week, as any German band would be, but
hey, sometimes it happens. It's not like we're trying to mess it up. Like, I'll say right now, I was a little disappointed when you said, you previously played and you're not going to say the name. And I was thinking, darn, that means I missed some info. Okay, so on the follow-up, be prepared.
Exactly, and then especially, I'll give a shout-out right now. I originally called this band Ivor Sow, but they're actually pronounced Ivor Sue. So I had them on the next week and I interviewed them, so I got to re-promote their music once again the following week. So that was and we all had a bit of a belly laugh about it as well. You know, the whole fact that I got it wrong, and and that's the thing too.
But and it's nice
People
when artists
make mistakes.
understand that, because sometimes it's a little hard to say some of the names, you know.
Of course, people make mistakes, but you know what? If you own up to it and you're not trying to hide it or anything, and you just bring it out, and people connect you on another level. Then too, they know. Oh, look, you know, I'm a human too. That's right.
All right. I'm the first one to say oops.
So yeah. But yes.
Well, no, this was wonderful. Great talking to you. I really enjoyed talking to you. Like I said, I get excited when I speak to other artists, but I really have a good time when I talk to other people who also promote the artists as well, and they're kind of like on this end, because I can kind of get that perspective of how it goes down for you and your process and stuff, you know, and I get it a little bit more, and I understand that a little bit more, you know. So, but do you have like any special stories or anything that's like a favorite moment that sticks out to you? Is there like something like in particular that just always, like, you know, I don't know, just like one of those things in your life that was like a profound moment?
Geez, I think when I realised initially, when I thought to myself, okay, I've had a stab at being an indie artist over in Australia here, this little guy from a little country town of Lismore, Australia. I tried to do my thing. Look, I was going all right. I was going well. I was actually a wedding singer for quite a number of years too,
wow.
Doing my little stint. And look, it just came to a point there. I remember having the music page open one day that I had created on Facebook, and you know, the infographics and everything there, and the analytics tell you. And it said no one had visited my page in about a month's time. Now, that sort of, it was a little bit disheartening, I'm not going to lie at all. And I sort of thought to myself, you know what, I'm just going to close this page down today. I'm just going to, you know, shut it down. I was doing the radio show as an overlapping thing, so I was sort of still trying to discover all this music. But then I just realised, this is the moment. I am now going to become a promoter of music rather than a creator of music. Not that I don't pick up a guitar and twang every so often and all that sort of stuff, which is, you know, just a bit of a you know, meditational type thing to do now.
Yeah.
But the moment when I really just went, no, this is what I'm going to do. And then I opened up a DJ Struth Mate page properly, and then I created a DJ Struth Mate Twitter account, and then I started reaching out to. I started thinking to myself, there's no reason I can't reach out to people who I think would be above and beyond who I could reach out to, because, you know what, ultimately they're only going to say yes or no. And
right, exactly. Take the chance.
I've definitely gotten more yeses than I have no's, or no responses than I have in the past, and that was because of, you know, when I type up an email or something, you know, to send directly to them, I really put a lot of thought behind, you know, the words I'm using. I'm very honest. I tell them exactly what I do. You know, some people want to know, oh, what's your listen account? Or, you know, what's this about you? Or, you know, what can you provide for me? And how much is it going to cost? And all this sort of stuff. And I've always been open and honest and say, no, this is what I do. This is what I can achieve. It gets blasted out to this many listeners a week. I'm always, you know, honest in that sort of situation. And yeah, it's definitely worked out for me. So I've got some very, very exciting interviews lined up with some other people in creative fields and everything, and I've got a novelist coming up soon. I've got Sasha and yourself coming up soon for my radio show. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Coming up. Just a bit of tidbit of information. But yeah, just everyone who's basically creative. I just realised that they're the people I've got to reach out to. I mean, I could easily go to the dog park and talk to the old man sitting at the bench there and probably get a decent conversation out of him. But it's not what I want to share with the listeners of the show.
It's not what you want to share with the world. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like you were talking about before, you get to hear that whole amalgamation of what's behind the scenes of what this person's all about. Even if they're not a musician, you get to find out what they're. And I've had that many more connections because of it. Having that variety on the show has just been the most wicked, wonderful thing I could have ever imagined. You know, having people just on the show that I never would have thought I would have spoken to in real life, or via Skype or via phone call or whatever. But and ultimately at the end of the day, most of them are leaving. Not most of them. I'll say 99.9% of them are very, very happy after the end of the phone call, and they're satisfied with what I'm going to do with it, and they end up promoting it themselves. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to more specials, and I'm looking forward to more takeover shows in the future. I've already reached out and got a few other artists working on some takeover shows for my show, where basically they get to use my platform that I've helped to create over this course of the years. I know it doesn't sound like too much as 200 in the number, but I've just gotten about 200.
You know what? That's a lot too. You start everywhere. Yeah. You trickle down. You trickle down. In a little rainfall, you trickle down. Next thing you know, you got a whole river following you, and that's, you know what? But it's good because at the same time, that shows that your work is getting out there and people are liking it, because you're just like going down anthill. You're just gathering.
Yes,
you know,
for sure.
It's how we all start out, right? Nobody starts out overnight, waking up, and poof, it's done.
Oh, hell no.
Right? Wouldn't that be great? But no, it doesn't happen.
And have that instantaneous amount of people following you or listening to your show would be wonderful. But this listen on demand thing, I think people really do appreciate, because they're not governed by a time of the day that they have to go here, or they really can just put a link on their page, or if they're joined on Mixcloud.com and just sort of say, oh well, that's Struthy's show, I'm going to listen to that on my Sunday afternoon when I'm relaxed, or
right.
I'm looking after the kids this afternoon, I'm going to the park, I'm going to bring that show down on my phone and I can play it down there while somewhere like today, I'm at the beach, lovely beach today, and I want to listen to some awesome music. I can tune into his show right here, right now, when I want to. And if you get interrupted, you can press pause, and you can come back to it later. So, yeah,
and that's great. That's fantastic to be able to do that in the first place.
Yeah. It's definitely the platform for me, Mixcloud, and even Mixcloud itself has some awards programs and stuff like that, and you can enter competitions, but I think they're solely based on people who do that. That other sort of genre, they might not be putting their radio show up on there, but they had a competition last year where a whole bunch of people supported me, and they put in this is the show that you got to listen to, this is the show you got to listen to. I didn't end up hearing that from Mixcloud, but you know what, I keep tagging Mixcloud on Instagram, I keep tagging Mixcloud on Twitter. Maybe one day I'll notice this little horny guy from Australia doing his thing, and it'll be wonderful. But
definitely.
That I'm on.
And you heard it here on the Subject Press. You got to listen to him. You got to listen to this guy from Australia. You got to listen to this DJ, Mr. DJ Struth Mate, on West Star Radio and ISX radio stations. He plays on, he's got his shows playing the whole week long. Anytime you come across him, anytime you see his little icon, make sure to check it out. Because I think it's fantastic. Everything you do and the followers you have show their true followers of what you do, and they appreciate what you do because they're there,
Yes,
and
they are very, they've got a name for those followers and everything.
Right?
They are called Struthlings.
I was going to say, you have Struthlings. I was going to ask about that. I was leading up to that because of this. You beat me to it. Exactly. I was going to say, those people who follow you, they're loyal because they like what you do. When you find someone that you connect with, and it don't matter if it's because they make you laugh or because they play the music you like, or just they like that little horny, animal head that you wear, it doesn't matter, but when you have someone tuning in because they just like what you do, then you have a true follower in your art, somebody that likes what you're putting out. Just like we follow bands because we like what the music is, what they're doing, or this movie, or this book, or whatever. And, we follow certain artists because of that art. So what you do is still an art. So those people are following your art, and I think that's fantastic. And I was going to ask, where did the name The Struthlings come about? Was that you tagging your followers, or was that somebody in your following, your fans saying, hey, we're the Struthlings now? Because I know people will name their own little groups.
Yeah, I suppose it was. I definitely didn't like being on air and calling people listeners, or on social media calling them followers, because there's a whole thing about sheep and all that sort of stuff. You don't want people to be sheep.
Yeah, no.
I think I just blurted out one day when I was recording a live show, and I was thinking of there's a funny term for calling redheads gingerlings over in Australia, and I don't know if that's around the world, and that's no offence at all, but that was a term we used to use for redheads. You'd be like, oh, there's a group of gingerlings over there. There was a family of redheads, or I see you've changed your hair to gingerling style.
There's a redhead in my group.
And I suppose the lings on the end, and I just went, I'm a Struth Mate, and I've definitely add Struth to anything again. I mean, I drive my Struth Mobile, what I call it, and I say things like, that's Struth-tastic. What's the other one? The Struth is out there. Anything I can sort of put a little play on words, I always put that thing. And when I started calling people Struthlings, they definitely, they were on board. I've actually had a few people say, how do I become a Struthling? Something like that. And I just tell them, look, you've got to follow me on my social media platforms and listen to my radio show. There's nothing else about it. There really is nothing else to it. If you do that, you become a Struthling. So, yeah.
There you go. Well, then I can officially say I am now a Struthling because I have been watching your work and I have been following your show now. So I can say I'm a Struthling too.
Yes, like a wristband or a T-shirt or something.
I have been assimilated. I am now part of the Borg. I've been assimilated. I am the Strudling. Oh,
and
but no,
it's kind of cute too.
It's great. I love it.
Little Struthling.
I love it. I love it. You heard that. Now I deleted up and I've become an official Struthling now.
Wonderful. Welcome on board. Welcome on board.
No, you know what? Now, since we're talking about that, where can people? Because you're gonna have a lot of new listeners, now who are finding out about you. Can you tell everybody where they can become Struthlings and follow you out? What are your social media sites for them to find you?
Alrighty, well, the big one, obviously, if you just type in DJ Struth Mate into Google, that will take you everywhere because it comes up very prominently, and that's Struth as in Struth, Struth, and then Mate on the end, Mate. But you can find me on Facebook. I've got 2 Facebook pages. One is obviously Struth Mate, and DJ Struth Mate, pardon me. The second one is DJ Struth Mate ISX Radio Facebook page. So they're 2 separate ones, but they're one and the same in a sense because they're both me. I'm on Instagram, and that's really just for shenanigans and helping out to promote the show with its weekly graphics. I put some funny stuff up on there. I recycle from Snapchat and any other stuff that I get on there as well. Snapchat's another one that I'm on, which is really just to make people, or entertain people, but also let them know once a week that I have a radio show coming out, and I feature, tell them a few featured artists on the show, give them a little 10-second snippet of their songs or something like that, if not more. I'm on Twitter, and Twitter is just the other one that you just blast out. I only just originally joined Twitter just to make connections, but it's turned into something that I just pop on every week. I'm a very big retweeter. I love to retweet stuff for other people. If they've got something exciting, like bands mentioned competitions they might have entered, that's a big one that I can help promote on there.
Oh, nice.
And they're probably the big 4 mainstays: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. But to find weststarradio.com, obviously you type in that, weststarradio.com. If then to find the ISX radio show, ISXradio.com, which is indie scent exposure, so they're sniffing out indie content. That's where ISX comes into play. And of course for the listen on demand, you type in mixcloud.com, go to that website, or install the app on your phone and type in DJ Struth Mate once again. You can find me there. And the very, very big one, of course, is my email, djstruthmate@gmail.com. That's very simple, easy to remember. So if you ever want to connect me with me, say good day on there and say, I want to be a Struthling.
That's right. That's how you become a Struthling, just like I did right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, I think that's fantastic. I had such a nice time talking to you. This was great getting to speak with you. I was very excited. I mean, it was hard to kind of get our Skype going a little earlier, so I was like, oh, no, fingers crossed. Come on. Don't do this now. We've been trying for a little while.
I'm so happy that you reached out, connected with me, Dilly, and of course, Subject Press. I want to say a huge thank you to letting me have this opportunity. It's always nice to spread the word of what people out there doing, and in my sense, like I spend a lot of time doing what you are doing too, promoting other people, and it's nice to have yourself have a little pat on the back every
right, because most people that do the interviewing do not get interviewed, and you don't really get to talk about what you do because you're too busy trying to promote somebody else. So
you're picking yourself up over the chair and you're putting yourself in the other chair on the other side of the room, and you're sort of like, oh, this is different, this is a new experience. But
right, like we got a little confused of who's interviewing who at one point. It was like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be asking you.
What's your favorite color, Gilly? What's your favorite star sign?
Right. Well, recently this happened to me. Well, I was at Metallica just a couple of days back, and then before that I had that's a whole other story. That's a story for a whole other time, though. I would like to ask artists, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who is striving to do what you do, who wants to be in that position? Because most people who are striving for something like that look to the people who already made it, as far as what type of advice that you would that you would give them. What would you say to somebody else?
Oh, well, I've definitely had people say, how do you become a radio host? In my circles, just people I've connected with, whether they're musicians or whatever, they say, how did you get to where you are? Just like you're asking me right now. Look, it started off with me just thinking, I can do this. I'm sure I can do this. I've seen what other people do, but I'm sure I can have a go at it. The next day I went out and I didn't just buy a cheap, PC microphone or anything. That was the one stipulation I said to myself. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it, in a decent way. So I spent about a good chunk of probably about $400 Australian on a really good condenser microphone, because I knew that was going to be my little golden gate to get into what I'm doing. If I'm a radio host, people have to be able to hear my sound properly, hear my voice, and it went from there. Really, I got the programs I needed. I don't have a full studio set up for the radio show like you see in the movies and everything when you go to a terrestrial radio station with a big mixing desk and everything.
Yeah.
All my mixing desk is all like programs and stuff I've got on my computer. And basically I started off there, and I mean that was as simple as that. I had a passion for what I wanted to do, and I had a source of music. So back in the day, they might have only been like 2 featured artists in a week, and then I just play a whole bunch of my favourite tracks that I listen to regularly. But then it started getting into, there's a 3rd artist this week. Okay, I'll slot them in. Okay, I have to cancel this little segment that I, might have had a cover song of the week that I enjoyed. Okay, because I've got a 4th artist on now. I can't fit it into the show. Then it just stemmed from there and there and there. Then when the interviews came about, then I had to work out some way to be able to record interviews properly, so that came across well. I had to put a little bit of my flavour to it, and that's where the sound effects came into it, and that's where, that's the sort of thing I'm delving away from how to become one. But basically, take a little bit of time out, do a little bit of planning if you want to become a radio host. Try and have an angle that you want to do. Like, if you want to do a complete one genre type of music, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't say go out and emulate someone else completely, but definitely be inspired. I mean, if you're hearing little sound bites and little stuff at the beginning of the show, and you have that classic sort of overlay movie voice saying "coming this summer," that sort of stuff. Those little things play into radio because it is all audio, really. And it's your senses are deprived of something visual, of course, when you're listening to radio. So you've got to put yourself into a position where you're creating a world for them that's sonic. So
you got to spoof it up a little bit.
Yeah, and definitely if you're a radio host, do your research. Don't just, I've been dumped with 10 songs this week. I'm just going to play them all on the radio show when I'm recording, or play them out live. Have a listen to the tracks in advance. Do a little bit of discovery about the artist, so you've got a little bit of something to talk about. Try and pronounce their names correctly if you know them in advance. But ultimately you've just got to, especially a radio show doesn't even have to be about music in this day and age. It can be about, just telling stories, or like a podcast sort of situation. But definitely be yourself. You can have a little moniker like I've created with DJ Struth Mate, but ultimately it's me at the end of the day. It's the Truth Mate, that's me. And it's just me trying to use another angle to try and get people to come over and listen. And some people laugh, some people I've had a few tears on the show too, just from talking about personal moments with some artists too, which so you come onto my show, you get music, media, promotion and shenanigans, and you might get a little bit of heartfelt sort of stuff going on as well, because I delve in, I try and steer away from religion and politics and that sort of stuff, because I just don't think that's what my factor of show is all about. Of course, it's just people are coming over there to be have a bit of fun, all that sort of stuff, and listen to some really, really quality music. So I'll leave that for the professionals talking about politics and spirituality and all that sort of stuff. That's for one of those sort of podcasts or one of those sorts of shows. So I'm not going to try and delve into their territory. So ultimately, get your programs on, find out something that works for you, get a really decent microphone, and reach out to some awesome creative people who you think would inspire yourself and inspire people that will be potentially listening to your show in the future. So and
like DJ Struth Mate, someone as inspiring as him.
Yeah, I've had a couple of shows in the past where somehow the show's been lost on my digital formats or something, and I've had to create a new show within an hour before uploading. But make sure that content's coming out, on a weekly or a monthly basis, because people look forward to it. People will be asking if something hasn't gone up, in 1 week, and they say, "Oh, well, what happened to DJ Struth Mate? The show's not up." No, it's there every single week for people to listen to, and I try and put my heart and soul into every show. Maybe not of late, only because I've had a different setup that I'm still working with, and I'm going through a bit of a moving process, but I'm going to be back on top 100% within the next few weeks, so it'll be wonderful.
Fantastic. Everything you said, it rings true. Everything rings true. Put your heart into it and just pretty much go for it, But
for sure.
But everything you've done, you see, you've done a lot. You put a lot into it. You really have built your name. You really have built, the name DJ Struth. Looking through everything, I came across a lot, and I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. This is fantastic. I loved all the stuff that you did, and it is a little bit different with all the sound bites that you have and all the graphics that you have going, but it's cool because it is a little different. And I like the fact that you can just take, like you said, take your show and just listen to it, and you can be wherever. You can be driving and listening to your show, so...
Yeah, that was surreal. When I started getting sent a few videos, or, some people saying, "Oh, I was listening to your show in the car the other day." That's surreal for me, and it just makes my heart just melt. It's just sort of like, oh, wow. I've never even listened to my own show in a car before. It's just not a format that I use over here. Obviously, I listen to one show once through when I've recorded to it, and then I listen to it once it's been uploaded, just to make sure for any sounds or anything, just to make sure it's come across right after the upload. But from then on, it's for the rest of the people to listen to. I'll leave it up to them.
So you don't really go through yourself and listen to it. Is it hard for you to do it, or is it just because you don't want to have to go over it and then maybe analyze yourself or something?
Well, definitely starting out the first 6 months, I probably was listening to my show probably 3 or 4 times a week, my own show, and it was just because of, it would be like, oh, that's me on the radio. Maybe had a little bit of a swollen head there for the first few months, but after that, no, I just definitely listen to it, and I don't want to upset the figures. If I see that there's been X amount of listeners on 1 week, I don't want to know that 7 or 8 of those were me just reloading the program to hear my opening of the show, or hear a certain part of an interview. But I like to, that keeps my numbers in my head, grounded. I know this many people listen to the show, and this many people have liked it and followed, all that sort of stuff. So no, it is good, and I've got a pretty big fan base in the US and the UK and Australia, but I'm also reaching out to places like Ghana and India and stuff like that now. So that's really making my ears prop up every week. I'm like, wow, I've got people listening around the world. Like when I say that, I really do. I'm not joking. It's
I believe you. No, I totally believe you. Trust me, I get it. I know. Sometimes it seems crazy. All of a sudden, it'll be like you get some type of notification that your name was mentioned in a different language. It's like, what? How did that happen? Because you happen to be interviewing a band there's a connection somewhere down the line. So no, I totally get that. I understand that. But
I have to crack the Asian market. I have to crack the Chinese or Japanese market, because I have to have maybe a different version of Struth, maybe someone to represent Struth Mate over there. And I don't know how you'd say it over there, but it'd be
Okay, we're gonna figure it out. So in our follow-up, when you're talking to Sasha later on in that follow-up, we'll figure it out, and this way she can bring it up to you and go, you know what, we found the equivalent of Struth Mate in United States here.
That'd be awesome. Then I can pass it on to someone else to have the mantle of Struth in another country, and
right,
that'd be wonderful.
Right. It'll be the subject press, and then slowly you'll see the little horns and the little red glasses pop out of the corner. Inspired by DJ Struth Mate. Sasha is that graphic designer. I'm not kidding. She'll probably throw something in there like that later. Watch.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, it was so great talking to you. I am so glad that we were able to get this taken care of, that we were able to connect with just such a huge time difference. Sometimes it's a little hard to do that. And like I said, you have a much better view than I do. You're staring at a beautiful beach, and I'm locked in a little room trying to make sure I have quiet time to get to talk to you.
I've got blue skies. I've got blue oceans. I've got, I'm, like I said, just everyone come to Australia if you get the opportunity, if you don't already live here and checked out the beaches. But 90% of us live within about 10 kilometres of the coastline, and there's a reason why. It is beautiful. It is just wonderful.
Very nice.
So,
just the description alone makes me want to come out there. So now, before we leave, is there anything that I didn't touch base on, or something else that maybe you would like to add, or anything like that before we do any sign off?
I think you included everything, Struth. I don't think there's anything else I can look, unless there's someone out there who wants to create an energy drink for me that involves the word Struth, you just go ahead for it. You just contact me and we'll work something out. We'll work up a recipe.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. DJ Struth Mate. This was fantastic. I just absolutely love this. I am so happy I was able to speak with you. I'm so glad that I got to look through your, what was the night before Halloween, because I can't wait for the next one. I'm eager to see what you come up with, and you're probably going to have to come up with it now just because we talked about it. So if you weren't planning on it.
Something's ticking away in the cogs in the back of my brain already, so it'll be cool. Don't worry.
Fantastic. All right, well, everybody, once again, I'm Dilly Briggs with the Subject Press, speaking with the amazing Australian on-air personality, DJ Struth Mate. Some know him by Horny DJ Struth Mate, and his followers, all his fans, they are known as the Struthlings. And to become a Struthling yourself, just check on any one of those sites that he mentioned and just start following him. He's got a lot of awesome stuff out there, and he really is an awesome entertainer, because his stuff up is just fantastic. The music is great, don't get me wrong. I love the rock music in between, but I like the personality of the person playing it. So make sure to check him out.
Thank you so much, Sweets. I really do appreciate it. And thank you to yourself and Sasha and Subject Press in general. There was a reason we connected, and I can't wait to speak with yourselves in the future and connect even more. So,
yes,
wonderful.
yes.